Panthers fans, we just got some major news surrounding your quarterback, Bryce Young, straight from the mouth of the Panthers head coach, Dave Canales. He sat down with The Athletic for an interview basically discussing Bryce's 2026 and some other things related to the Panthers roster heading into what many people call a make-or-break year with the additions that Carolina made in free agency. We're going to break down pretty much all of Dave Canales' comments on today's show, which came from The Athletic, which, by the way, costs money. Here at Panthers Today, 100% free. We're going to bring you content from places like The Athletic that have these paywalls. $72 a year, you don't pay that here at Panthers Today, so hit that subscribe button and turn your notifications on so you never miss a moment surrounding your Panthers. All right, so Joe Person, the Panthers Athletic beat writer, does a great job, so please do go read some of his work. But he sat down for 10 questions with Dave Canales at the NFL League meetings out in Phoenix, Arizona. So Canales basically just shot on everything. On Bryce Young, on Xavier Legette, on where this team's headed, the mentality of the Carolina Panthers, and starting with the lack of Bryce Young questions throughout this offseason at places like the Combine and at the league meetings and whatnot. He said it was similar at the Combine. And what I realized that is that all of us, we can sense a commitment to Bryce being our quarterback. We're changing things in our offense to fit Bryce, and we're trying to bring players that will complement what Bryce does. It was something that Dan and I had talked about throughout really the last 2 years. Bryce's ability to perform in critical situations and in high-stakes situations. Well, I'll tell you right now, Bryce Young has been a more clutch quarterback, raw numbers-wise, than anybody since he's entered the league, okay? 12 times, Bryce Young has committed a game-winning drive. That's the most since 2023. So clearly he's shown that in big-time moments he can step up, and we've seen also, like, in playoff moments, in playoff clinching moments, we've seen some big-time third and fourth down conversions by Bryce Young. 3rd and 11, like fourth and 6 plus type scenarios. Like, these aren't easy situations to manage here, and Bryce Young's done it all while being criticized for not being big enough, not having a big enough arm, just not being an NFL quarterback, let alone a number 1 overall pick. He's slowly but surely squashing the haters that he's got in Carolina so far. And you guys know what he did in, like, the biggest game of his career, right? He was a Matt Stafford game-winning drive away from beating the Los Angeles Rams and moving on to the divisional round of the NFC playoffs. Like, the QB rating, passer rating was fine or whatever, but, like, he used his legs to make a big-time play, got in the end zone. He had a big-time touchdown to Jalen Coker. Like, he was damn good in this game, and slowly but surely, like I said, like, he is taking the steps there needs to be in order to be a franchise quarterback in this league, somebody who an organization can believe can take you to a Super Bowl. There does need to be another step taken, though. Like, let's be honest here. Bryce Young is not a perfect quarterback. That wasn't even a perfect performance, but it's encouraging, and it's a step in the right direction. More from Canales here on Bryce Young, saying a big part of it, the next leap that Bryce Young has to take, is being able to operate at the line of scrimmage, not in the huddle, when we want to. And he's certainly capable of that. It's not solely on him. It's a group that's pretty young. He needs to trust all the guys that go up there, communicate verbally or non-verbally, and execute what we're doing. We made huge strides in that regard. His ability to alter things based on what they're giving you will give us another edge, which he's continued to grow and had some great examples down the stretch where he identified things they were doing, got us to the right check, and capitalized on some plays. Want to see him do that more when it's appropriate. So essentially, what Canales is asking Bryce Young to do here, because it's like a backhanded compliment almost, like he's saying, yeah, he needs to get better at this processing part of the game and at the line of scrimmage part of the game, but he's shown a couple of good examples of doing that in the past, just needs to put it all together. He essentially just wants Bryce Young to process things a little bit quicker and with more, lightning ability at the line of scrimmage. That's all he's asking for, which is a natural thing for a quarterback to have to develop and improve upon as he gets deeper into his NFL career. Like, this has been something that we've seen get developed over time. Dave Canales himself has seen this develop over time in a quarterback. So it's nothing abnormal here. And by the way, Bryce Young's already shown that he can do this in spurts. He just needs to put it all together with a little bit more consistency. And if he does, this is a season upcoming for the Carolina Panthers that can silence all the doubt. It can just squash it immediately and set this team up for perennial playoff and Super Bowl contention in the NFC. And there's serious pressure heading into a year like this. You just won the NFC South. Dave Canales likes that pressure, though. He said, I like that pressure. I like that feeling of we built a team up on paper to where we're a pretty decent team on paper. Can we be good stewards of that? Can we get the most out of that? That should be what drives us. Can we make this thing as good as it possibly can? Nobody wins a Super Bowl in the offseason. Just signing Jalen Phillips to a monster deal, signing Devin Lloyd to a good contract, and bringing in Rasheed Walker to patch things up at left tackle, that doesn't lift you a Lombardi trophy by any means. So they still got to go out there and execute, and they got to be the team that a lot of people think they can be based on what they did in free agency, but a ton of it still rides on Bryce Young. A ton of it rides on how well he can move the football, how well he can put up points in this offense, and there's going to be some new leadership out there for Bryce Young this season. So not necessarily like Dave Canales isn't the coach anymore, but he's not going to be running the offense on the day-to-day anymore. So there's a big step needed to be taken for Bryce Young, and he's doing it with some new personnel too. What do you guys think? What's your confidence level in Bryce Young for 2026? Be honest with me down in the comment section. I know most Panthers fans have come around on Bryce at this point, but I'm sure there's still some detractors out there. So one being no confidence at all in Bryce Young, Hunter being the most confident you could possibly be. Let me know where you're at on the quarterback heading into 2026. Like I said, new leadership on the offensive side of the ball has been brought in to help that cause, in the words of Dave Canales, because Canales obviously gives up play calling duties to Brad Idzik, and then you bring in Darrell Bevell, and Canales is trying to get a better hold on the CEO aspect of being a head coach when it comes to game and time management, rather than focusing on the plethora of offensive plays and sets that they have on that side of the ball. He wants to be more involved with the defense. So he's brought in Darrell Bevell for a leadership role on the offense as an assistant head coach, and then handing over play caller duties to Brad Idzik. Here's what Canales said on Darrell Bevell joining the fold here, saying, with this role that I'm taking, with Brad taking over play calling, I have 3 years of play calling experience. Bev's got a lot more. What I really want is for Brad to have a great support, not just from me, but from someone else whose sole purpose here is to help our offense, to help Brad. And to have those eyes on everybody on the offensive side of the ball and all of our schemes, I want our offenses from a balanced run pass to fit the best of what Darrell brought us to us in Seattle, and also the best of what he's learned in the meantime, being in a couple different spots in Detroit, Jacksonville, and Miami the last couple of years. And let's be honest, some of those offenses that he was in, they were very, very effective and some of the highest powered units in all of football. It's a smart hire by Dave Canales to bring in an experienced guy like Darrell Bevell here, but I also want this offense to be a Dave Canales and Brad Idzik vision rather than Darrell Bevell kind of putting his hands all over everything. Like, I still want the foundation of the offense to be Canales driven, and then Idzik kind of does the decision making when it's time to call him out. Like that's just kind of where I want the situation to be. Is that where it's going to be 100%? No, it's not confirmed yet, but I do like the hire of Darrell Bevell in here for some just guidance for a guy who hasn't called plays as often. Canales also spoke on Xavier Legette, which we'll kind of use to get close to the wrapping up of today's show, because Legette is a player that is another guy that's got to help make Bryce Young's life a little bit easier, and he hasn't really done that to the best ability so far in his NFL career. Heading into a pivotal year 3, what does that look like per Dave Canales? Saying, just working his butt off. He's around the facility. While we can't talk about football stuff and do meetings, he's there, he's grinding, he's working, and he understands what an opportunity he has. And he understands why we brought him here, to be that big, dynamic playmaker that we know he can be. While I know that he may not have had the year that he wanted to, he came through for us in some critical games. He's a come-through guy that we love and trust. I just want him to do it all the time so he can realize the highest of his potential. He wants that. We want that for him too. And I'm excited to see what he does this year. And that didn't come without compliments of Xavier Legette. I actually just took out the center portion where he talks about the big winning moments that Legette gave the Carolina Panthers this season, where he had that touchdown against the Miami Dolphins that sparked a 17-0 comeback that they had. He had a big first down against the Jets, a 50-50 ball that he just went up and got that allowed Carolina to just kneel out the rest of that game when it was a little bit too close. Like, there were some moments where Xavier Legette pushed the Panthers over the edge, but blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. He's got to put this together for a 17-game sample size if he's going to live up to the first-round billing that the Panthers drafted him with. Now, this season, a critical year for Xavier Legette, a critical year for everybody. The mindset has kind of shifted. The Panthers are no longer the hunter out there. They're no longer the scrappy underdog. They've gone out there. They've won this NFC South. They've made big investments in the offseason. Now they're looked upon as a team that should be good for 2026. Here's what Canales said about that mentality. You got to invite it and understand that people know that we're a good team and they have to play us at their best. That's the kind of respect that we want, and that's going to bring out the best in us. To know that opponents are going to show up and not feeling like, let's circle the Panthers on the schedule. But that it's like, all right, we got the Panthers, and it's just a part of a normal conversation. just the normal respect of playing football. This is the reality now, folks. Like, I hope you guys want this. Like, I hope you guys are enjoying this sentiment. The Panthers are for real. The Panthers would be respected, and the Panthers would be looked at as the team that should repeat in the NFC South for 2026. I know they went 8-9 or whatever it was, and it wasn't the most encouraging division title. Kind of limped to it, but they've done all the things necessary. Looks like Bryce is taking the necessary steps forward, and this team's going to be a really, really good spot for 2026 and beyond. They're super young, they're getting better, and they're spending money. Shout out to Dan Morgan and Dave Canales. If you're fired up about Canales' recent comments, do one thing for me. Hit that like button. Make it known down below that this Panthers fandom, they are very, very much behind their head coach. That will do it for today's show. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, youtube.com/Panthers Today, for the latest and greatest in the Carolina Panthers all offseason long. We'll see you guys next time. And as always, keep pounding.